What is up, everybody? Happy New Year. So just like the title of this video suggests, I'll be breaking down my top candidates for this year's Most Improved Player award. So these award races and ladders are some of the closest and most exciting I've ever seen in recent years. So this will be the first video in which I'll get to all of these other awards and break down my picks and provide some analysis. But for now, let's get into what I think is the most exciting award race so far this season, and that is the NBA's Most Improved Player. So off the top of my head, without looking at any lists, any other opinions anywhere else, purely from what I've seen just from watching basketball games this year, Miles Bridges, Tyrese Maxey, and Dejounte Murray. That'll be my top three just off the top of my head. I know there's a ton of other players in consideration, but those are probably my top three right now. So Bridges, I know he was clearly the early favorite early on in the season. He was running away with the title. He was looking like an all-star. He's averaging like 25 points a game. But I know he's cooled down a ton in recent months. Then there's Tyrese Maxey, and it's probably the Philly fan in me, but he's doubling his numbers from last year. He's really filled into Ben Simmons' role this year, and he's established himself as a legitimate secondary or tertiary option in the Sixers offense. And then there's Dejounte Murray, who might actually be my real pick. Look, DJ is so good. It just sucks that he doesn't get a lot of attention since he plays in San Antonio. He doesn't get that recognition. And I was never really too worried about his three-point shooting or efficiency because he was still at least willing to shoot them when he was open and hit them at a respectable clip. But now he's getting up nearly 4 a game. He's shooting about league average. And his assist numbers, which was actually one of my main concerns about him, are steadily improving and has jumped up to over 8 a game this year. So he's really established himself as a franchise point guard and a potential all-star this year. All right, so those are my three, but let's see what everyone else is saying. There are just so many great candidates. I feel like I could make a legitimate case for 10 players. So to get a third-party opinion, I'm gonna look at sportsbettingdime.com, which has been tracking the odds to win the 2022 Most Improved Player. So you're free to interpret this award any way you want. I know, kind of like with the MVP discussion, people have differing definitions for what valuable actually means. But for me, I have a few general criteria for this award. One, do they contribute to winning? It doesn't mean you have to be a title contending team, but you at least have to show that your improvement as a player is somehow correlated to the team's improvement and the team's success. Secondly, I'd prefer to favor players who are already good, but who are making that leap into superstardom, as opposed to like average players becoming very good. So kind of like when Giannis won it or Paul George won it, as opposed to a guy, if you remember, Ryan Anderson back in 2012. And then thirdly, I need some kind of narrative, some kind of story. So the story that the candidate has matters, and it should have an outcome on the effect of the result. So like, for example, Julius Randle last year, he was like seen as the leader of the newly respectable New York Knicks, a team that made the playoffs for the first time in a billion years. And the year before that, it was Brandon Ingram, who was like, the story behind that was he was embracing the role after AD was gone. They had all these new young players, and so he kind of stepped into that role. So that's what I mean. There needs to be a narrative, some kind of story that helps make that case. So looking at this list, 2 names that immediately stand out to me come from the same team, and it's Darius Garland and Jarrett Allen. So look, if the Cavs continue to be a winning team like they are right now, and they can finish as a top 4 seed in the East, you know, I kind of wonder what they'll actually have to show for it. Are either of these players going to be an all-star? I don't know. It's close. They won't make an all-NBA team. They won't be bringing any hardware home this season. So unfortunately, as much as I love watching both Darius Garland and Jarrett Allen make the Cavs great again, they just kind of, cancel each other out. And I don't believe in split awards either. That's kind of weak in my opinion. So on to the next player. I'm looking at Jordan Poole here. And as impressive as he's been for the Warriors, he's still just like a tertiary scorer, kind of like an outside guy who probably will go back to the bench when Klay Thompson comes back. So he's still not at that all-star level. But he just came from one of the worst rookie outings I've ever seen. Like this efficiency through the toilet, shooting like under 30% from the field. So the fact that he's able to get to this point and actually be a legitimate starter on an NBA contender is huge. And then kind of similarly with Cole Anthony, who is, I think he would be considered for all-star consideration if the Magic was having any level of success right now. He's more of a guy who has done a great job taking advantage of his increased role on the team. With the guard depth out, Markelle is still out, Jalen Suggs is injured right now. So he's really done an excellent job in making the most of this opportunity. So now that I think about it, Tyrese Maxey kind of goes into this category as well, kind of like a second-year guy filling in a role and playing it to a T. Now I'm looking at Tyler Herro, who is a very interesting candidate. So if you remember, Tyler Herro, he was really, really hooping in the bubble. People were calling him a future star, superstar, whatever, because he was actually playing like it. And then he had that cringy snarl that intimidated literally nobody. I feel like after that, people just kind of were preying on his downfall. They're waiting for him to come back down to earth and is not really that guy. So he kind of struggled the following year, but this year, he's the leading candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. He's averaging 20 points a game on very solid efficiency and high volume. So does he contribute to winning? Yes, absolutely. Does he have that all-star caliber potential this year? Not really, but he's kind of close. My thing is, it's not like we haven't seen him play at an all-star level before, because we literally just saw this type of production in the bubble. We were all just like, why didn't we get this version of Tyler Herro last year? So I think if he was able to naturally build off of this performance in the bubble leading into the next year after their finals appearance, it would have made the narrative portion of his most improved player case a little stronger for this award this year. So now this list is going to start getting a little difficult. There are two more players I'm going to group together, not because they're similar players, but because they kind of have similar situations. And they're Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball. So look, these are both second-year players, and they finished 1 and 2 in Rookie of the Year voting last year. They're playing extremely well this year. They both have a very legitimate chance to make the All-Star game. I think they both should be All-Stars, and they're actually helping their team win, with both teams being in the playoff or play-in tournament picture right now. So All-Star lead, check. Are they contributing to winning? Double check. But again, the narrative, Anthony Edwards and LaMelo Ball, but it's a pretty common pattern that we see from some of the top tier rookies in a class. They're able to make that leap into the second year and show that, hey, what I was doing as a rookie is no fluke. I'm going to keep getting better every year. So once again, I'm contradicting my own Tyrese Maxey pick because he's a second-year player. But if these guys are able to continue to transcend their game into the next level, let's say LaMelo Ball establishes himself as the top 3-point guard in the whole league next year, or with the Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards establishes himself as the guy in Minnesota over Karl Anthony Towns, and they're still a playoff team. Look out for them in consideration for this award next year. All right, so now we've arrived in the top 3. Dejounte Murray, Miles Bridges, and Ja Morant. Let me know in the comments if you've arrived at a similar top 3. If you disagree with my approach or how I value certain things, please let me know. So let's take a look at the argument for and against all 3 of these players. So starting with Bridges, who was clearly the front runner early on in the season, he's lost a ton of momentum in the last couple months. He had a much larger role in the Hornets offense. Numbers are way up in points, rebounds, assists, but his efficiency is actually down. Lower field goal percentage, lower free throw percentage, and lower 3-point percentage than last year. So unfortunately, the fact that another leading candidate for this award is also on the same team as him in LaMelo Ball, it doesn't help his case at all, similar to the Garland Allen, Darius Garland thing. So I don't know, man. He was very close, and he can still regain that leading candidate, in my opinion, if he can at least match his efficiency from last season with this increased volume and minutes. But to me, I don't think he's the main candidate anymore. So now we're between Ja Morant and Dejounte Murray. Is Murray going to be an all-star this year? I kind of hope so. Ja Morant for sure will be. So my heart kind of wants to say Dejounte because I personally appreciate how underrated he is, especially being as a San Antonio Spur. And unlike Ja Morant, DJ didn't start out as this clear future superstar like Ja Morant did. He came from humble beginnings. He was a 20-year-old rookie, only averaging like 3 points a game. Then he had the terrible ACL injury that caused him to miss his entire third season. And now he's having clearly the best season of his career, firmly established himself as a franchise point guard with elite defense. He can run an offense, and he's nearly averaging a triple-double on excellent efficiency at the time. So I just love that story. That whole narrative plays into his case perfectly, and he should be in strong consideration for this award. However, you can't punish Ja Morant just because he didn't start his career off as a minor role player like Dejounte did. Ja has been steadily increasing his game every single season, and he deserves to be awarded for it. I feel like the Grizzlies, they're still just labeled as a young, hungry, up-and-coming team, but they're way ahead of schedule. They're firmly the 4 seed in the West compared to a team like the Spurs, who are on the outside looking into the playoff picture. And I don't buy into this whole, are the Grizzlies better without Ja Morant nonsense. It's not true. Just because they went on a winning streak without him, just because they won a game by 73 points without him, I don't want to hear all that. He is the soul, the heart, and the engine that runs this team. Any of his teammates and coaches they'll back me up on that. He's shooting a career high 40% from three, which was previously considered his weakness. Career high in rebounds, top 10 scorer in the whole league right now, career highs in field goal and free throw percentage. He is making that leap from star to superstar right before our very eyes. He's must-see TV, and it's worth noting that 5 of the last 7 recipients of the Most Improved Player Award made their first All-Star appearance in the same year that they won the award. And I think that's going to end up being the case this year for my pick for the 2021-2022 NBA Most Improved Player, Ja Morant. If you're still here at the end of the video, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Please make sure to leave a like and a comment on what you think the leading candidates are for the Most Improved Player. And stay tuned for parts 2, 3, 4, and infinity of this series. I'm going to be going into MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, all of that good stuff. And I'm really hoping to take this channel to the next level in this new year. Please enjoy some of the other things that I have posted on many different topics. And let me know some things that you might want to hear in a future video. That being said, I'll see you on the next one.